My name's MacMillon. I was born in Woodstock, just below Woodstock a ways, a place called Benton, about 3 miles out of Benton, and a place they call Lynch's Ridge, sometimes Smoky Hollow. I was raised there and stayed there till I was about around 19 or so, and I worked in the woods with my dad most of the time, and during high school times and all that. And after one winter, the last winter I worked in the woods with my father, I said, this is it for me. I said, I gotta do something else. So anyway, I decided to go to trade school in St. Andrews, and down to trade school in St. Andrews, and took an upgrading course. And the next year I started refrigeration and air conditioning, and that's where I met my wife Ruth, and I've been down in this country ever since. And all through life, things happen in many different ways. And I've started to work at the dry dock in St. John for a number of years, and I went to Lake Utopia Paper for a number of years. Actually 32 years at Lake Utopia Paper. All through my life I drank and smoked. And I was quite heavily into cigarettes, and then I eventually got, I say, heavily in alcohol. People say, I've talked to over the years, said, well, Alan, you weren't an alcoholic. Well, the way I looked at it, if I couldn't go a day without it, then I was an alcoholic. For a good many years, I drank and whatever, did my own thing, and Ruth raised the family more or less, more so than I did, because I was always either partying or up to my camp or out in the garage, whatever, with the boys, drinking beer and smoking, whatever. I know through life, the times before I became a Christian and knew the Lord, that I'm sure Ruth had difficult times, because I know she loved me and she tried to be with me whenever she could.
Alan was out drinking and not knowing where he was at times, and he'd be working 4 days and off 4 days, and when he was off he was always gone, and I never knew what he was doing or who he was with. And if I didn't go with him, he used to always say I'd find somebody out there.
Well, sometimes she would go, because I likely told her in some of my stupid forms of drunkenness that if she didn't go, that I'd have somebody else anyway. So, but and I'm sure that hurt her.
People would say to me, you being a Christian, how can you come out here to be with us? And I said, well, I have to be where I have to be. And my children, they just couldn't understand why their dad wasn't there to be with them and take them to games, and he just didn't have the time for them. But he loved them, he provided a home for them, and they never went without, but it was just not being there for them.
And I'm sure all the time the kids were growing up that they were hurt in some ways, even though they didn't express it. Where was Dad, or how come Dad's not around, how come Dad's not here to take me to the basketball games, but I just wasn't there for them. And I've always given credit to Ruth for raising the kids. She did a great job. We've got 3 great children, grandchildren, and I'll thank her anytime, publicly, for doing that. She's been a good, faithful woman to me.
And I just prayed for him constantly. He was my 20-year prayer. I used to walk out behind my house every day and I'd pray, Lord, why isn't he changing? And through all this, the Lord had a different plan.
Then my daughter come to her wedding in 1992, September, And the pastor that was going to marry her, we went down to a rehearsal on the night before the wedding, and he was there, and they introduced me to him, and he looked at me and I looked at him, and he said, "MacMillon, you wouldn't happen to be from around Woodstock area, would you?" I certainly would. Well, he said, "My grandparents used to live in a place called Benton." I said, "Yeah, I know exactly who you mean." I said, "They were my mother and father's best of friends." And so we become acquainted that way, and he'd come after the wedding, passed or whatever, and every once in a while he'd go by the house, he'd drop in and see me. I'd be out in the grass naturally, doing my thing, and he'd stop and sit and talk, and you know, and look at the old pictures and stuff around the garage, and you know, little did I know, but I was under conviction, surely was. One Saturday night, I was out in the garage there doing my thing, and bottle of beer in one hand, a cigarette in the other. And I looked out the window at the back of the garage where I went into the road going to the lake, and said, "Lord, there's got to be something better than this. If I keep going, well, yeah, I may not be around here." So I dumped the beer out, put the cigarette out, went in the house and said to Ruth, "I want to go to church in the morning." She said, "Where do you want to go?" I said, "I'd like to go up to St. Paul Baptist Church, Pastor Graham." So we went up there to church, and I gave my heart to the Lord. Started going there to church, fellowship with people, got involved with the church and stuff. 3 years time, Pastor Gordon passed away. He was only a man 35 years old. Broke my heart. But he encouraged me, always encouraged me. He was one of my first mentors, Pastor Cook or Pastor Graham. Another mentor of mine up there was Huey Parks. He took me through a discipleship course every Tuesday night for about 6 months. We'd meet at his house, and we'd go through a book, or he'd pray, we'd talk. 94, I had a heart attack. So eventually they found 3 blockages in my heart. I had to have open heart surgery. March 18, 1994. Remember it well. In the hospital, I threw my cigarettes in the garbage. Said, "That's it, Lord." Had my surgery the next day, and all blessed, whatever, home. Got up back on my feet again, and couldn't get rid of the alcohol, couldn't get rid of the beer. Never picked up the cigarettes again after that. But I still had that crutch. the booze. Tried to hide it. Tried to hide the cigarette smoke. But people knew. And God knew.
Come to the Lord, and I thought everything's going to be fine. But he still continued to drink, and I never knew it until about 3-4 years ago. He hit it so good for me, and I used to think I could smell beer on him, but he's saved, he'd give that all up. But he finally gave it up, and I just thank the Lord and my Savior for doing that, and that the ministry that he has given us, and I just praise him for it. Thank you.
I said, Lord, I don't want that anymore. And you know, he helped me get rid of that demon of alcohol. But you know, for a long time, driving by the liquor store, the car just seemed to want to drive right in there. Tried to fight it. And I got clear of it. So eventually I went down to CB Full Gospel Church in Back Bay and met Pastor Cook and started a fellowship in there. He was another mentor in my life. Had 15 years there. Got involved in the church, different ministries, Sunday school teacher, working with seniors. Then I eventually just believed God had something else for me to do somewhere else. And you know, he did. Went in to told Pastor Cook one Sunday morning that I'd be going somewhere else for fellowship. He couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe it myself, really. But you know, when the Lord has a plan in your life, you gotta listen to him. And I believe, and still believe to this day, it was the call of the Lord. I started fellowshipping at the St. Croix Christian Center, Pastor Jody McMahon. Known Jody for years. Nice gentleman, good gentleman, brag him up a little. But he's another mentor in my life. Since coming to St. Croix Christian Center, Ruth and I have got involved in 3 different ministries, and we're so blessed to be involved. One of the ministries is I get down to Sunday school Sunday mornings and I pray with the children. They request prayers for many, many things. And pray with them, and we are even marking them down now. As these prayers are answered, we cross them off. And you know, it's great to see that prayer is working, and prayer does work and still works. We're also involved in what we call our Keeners Plus ministry. This people are 50 and up that we have fellowship, and you know, you always got to have food. So we have the food to fellowship, and we get together on the 4th Monday of every month here at 6:30, and a pretty good turnout. I'd like to have more, but the Lord's going to supply as we carry on this ministry, and people get to know about it. We're also involved in Wednesday night Bible study to a certain degree, that we do alternating Wednesday nights with the sing and praise, and we certainly get blessed by that. We just pray that we're blessing other people through the ministry that the Lord has given us to do, and the plan that he has in our lives. Try to be a witness to the kids now. You pray that someday they'll reach out to the Lord also. And grab that saving hand, same as they did Tori. I said to my granddaughter the other day, when I texted her, I said, Chelsea, I'll tell you something. I said, this whole highway of life has many twists and turns, many ups and downs, trials and tests. But you know, we've got somebody that walks with us every day. He walks in our footsteps, right there by your side, to help us. But I said, a lot of the time, he picks it up and carries it. I love the Lord. I thank Him for the many blessings He's put on my life. Thank Him for the many people that I've met through the years since I became a Christian. From the West Coast to the East Coast, different churches I've been in, different fellowships. I can go back to anyone, any fellowship, any church, and they welcome me with open arms. It boils down to, if you show the Christ, the love of Christ to other people, and make yourself friendly, He'll be your friend for life. So just thank the Lord. Praise His holy name for keeping me and helping me each day. God bless you.
Oh, I've heard 1,000 stories of what they think you're like, but I've heard the tender whisper of love in the dead of night, and you tell me that you're pleased and that I'm never alone. You're a good, good Father. It's who you are. It's who you are. It's who you are.